The charity gala shimmered with opulence, its grand chandeliers casting golden light over a sea of designer gowns and tailored suits. Karoline Leavitt stood at the center of it all, her presence magnetic as cameras clicked incessantly around her. She smiled effortlessly, but beneath the surface there was an unspoken tension, a quiet exhaustion masked by years of practice in performing perfection. "Karoline," someone called from behind the velvet rope separating fans from celebrities. Her gaze shifted to a young girl clutching a stuffed unicorn, her wide eyes brimming with awe. "Ms. Leavitt?" the child asked hesitantly, tugging on her mother's sleeve for courage. "Can I ask you something?" Karoline crouched down, her signature warmth radiating despite the fatigue she felt. "Of course, sweetheart. What is it?" The little girl pointed shyly at the delicate gold necklace resting against Karoline's collarbone. "That's so pretty. Where did you get it?" For a split second, time seemed to freeze. The room's hum faded into silence as Karoline's smile faltered. Her fingers instinctively brushed the pendant, tracing its edges like they had done countless times before. "It," her voice caught, soft and uneven. "It was my mother's." The weight of those 4 words hung heavy in the air. Memories flooded back, her mother's laughter echoing through their modest home, the way she'd fastened this very necklace around Karoline's neck just days before her sudden death. It wasn't just jewelry, it was a lifeline to the woman who had shaped her world. Her manager, Evelyn, shot her a warning glance from across the room. "Stay composed," it said silently, but Karoline couldn't, not this time. Tears welled up, spilling uncontrollably down her cheeks. Flashes erupted like fireworks, capturing every raw moment. The crowd murmured, unsure whether to applaud or avert their eyes. "I'm sorry," Karoline whispered, more to herself than anyone else. Evelyn appeared at her side almost instantly, ushering her away while muttering under her breath, "You're ruining the narrative, Karoline. Pull yourself together." But it was too late. Within minutes, hashtags like Karoline Breakdown and Necklace Secret trended worldwide. Fans debated fiercely online. "She's using her mom's memory for publicity," one critic tweeted. "No, she's human. Stop tearing her apart," another countered. Backstage, Karoline leaned against a marble pillar, trying to steady her breathing. This wasn't supposed to happen. Not here, not now. Fame had always been about control, about presenting the polished version of herself. Yet tonight, the cracks were undeniable. Liam, her childhood best friend, found her moments later. He didn't say anything at first, simply handing her a tissue. "You okay?" he finally asked, his voice gentle yet probing. She shook her head. "No, I don't think I am." Behind closed doors, away from prying lenses, Karoline allowed herself to unravel further. The glamorous icon crumbled, revealing the fragile woman beneath. A woman burdened by loss, expectations, and the relentless pressure to be perfect. As the night wore on, Karoline realized this moment would change everything. The facade she'd built was crumbling, and though terrifying, it might also offer a chance to rebuild, to rediscover who she truly was. And so, amidst the chaos, a new chapter began, one that would test her strength, challenge her identity, and ultimately lead her toward redemption. Karoline's ascent to stardom had been nothing short of meteoric. At just 19, she released her debut album, a raw, soulful collection of tracks that resonated deeply with audiences worldwide. Critics hailed her as the voice of a generation, but behind the accolades lay sleepless nights and relentless ambition. She sacrificed birthdays, holidays, even friendships, all in pursuit of perfection. "I wanted it so badly," she once confessed to Liam during one of their rare late-night calls, "but I didn't realize how much it would take from me." Her life now was a whirlwind of red carpets, interviews, and sold-out arenas, yet beneath the glittering facade, cracks were beginning to form. Her father hadn't spoken to her since her mother's funeral, blaming her for abandoning their small-town roots. Anxiety gnawed at her constantly, though she masked it well with practiced smiles and rehearsed answers. "You're running yourself into the ground," Liam warned over coffee one morning. "When was the last time you slept more than 4 hours?" She shrugged dismissively. "Sleep doesn't sell records." Evelyn, ever the strategist, saw every moment as an opportunity to enhance Karoline's brand. When the viral video of Karoline breaking down hit social media, Evelyn immediately seized on it. "This is gold," Evelyn said, pacing Karoline's hotel suite. "We can turn this into something powerful. A jewelry line inspired by your mother. It'll humanize you while boosting sales." Karoline flinched visibly. "You want me to profit off my mom's memory?" "It's not profiting, it's honoring her," Evelyn countered smoothly. "And keeping you relevant." Later that evening, Liam joined her on the balcony overlooking Los Angeles. He handed her a glass of wine and leaned against the railing. "Do you remember when we used to sneak out to the lake back home?" he asked softly. "Just us, no cameras, no expectations." Karoline smiled faintly. "I miss those days sometimes." "That girl, the real you, is still in there," Liam pressed gently. "You don't have to lose her completely." That night, alone in her room, Karoline clutched the necklace tightly. Memories flooded back. Her mother humming old songs, brushing her hair, promising things would get better. Then came the day everything changed. The phone call, the hospital visit, the unbearable silence afterward. "She gave me this 2 weeks before she died," Karoline whispered aloud, tears streaming silently. "She told me to keep it close because she'd always be with me." The next morning, Evelyn presented mock-ups of the proposed jewelry line. Each piece bore intricate designs reminiscent of Karoline's mother's style. "These will resonate with fans," Evelyn insisted. "It's authentic storytelling." Karoline stared at the sketches, nausea rising in her throat. Authentic? Or exploitative? Meanwhile, tabloids pounced on the story, dredging up old rumors about strained family ties and accusations of neglecting her roots. Headlines screamed, "Karoline Leavitt, self-made star or family betrayer?" Her phone buzzed incessantly with notifications. One comment stood out among the rest. "If she cared about her mom, she wouldn't use her like this." Social media erupted into chaos. Some defended her, calling her breakdown brave and relatable. Others accused her of orchestrating the entire incident for publicity. "Is anything real anymore?" one fan tweeted bitterly. Karoline scrolled through the comments until her vision blurred. Liam found her curled up on the couch later that evening. "You need a break," he urged. "Go somewhere quiet, away from all this noise." "And let everyone forget about me?" she shot back sharply. "They won't forget you," he replied firmly. "But they might respect you more if you come back stronger and truer to yourself." Yet the thought of stepping away terrified her. What if fans moved on? What if another artist took her place? Fame demanded constant visibility, and disappearing felt like signing her own obituary. "I can't afford to stop," she admitted quietly. As she drifted off to sleep that night, visions of her mother filled her dreams. Her laughter, her advice, her love, it all felt so vivid, yet painfully distant. "Am I honoring you, Mom?" Karoline murmured into the darkness. "Or am I betraying everything you believed in?" By morning, tensions between Karoline and Evelyn reached a boiling point. "You're letting emotions cloud your judgment," Evelyn snapped. "And you're turning my life into a product," Karoline retorted. Public appearances grew harder. Her smile faltered mid-interview. Her performances lacked their usual energy. Fans noticed, speculating online about what or who was breaking her spirit. Behind closed doors, Karoline knew the truth. The weight of fame was crushing her, piece by fragile piece, and soon, she feared, there'd be nothing left to hold together. Karoline stepped onto the stage, her sequined gown catching the light as thousands of fans erupted into cheers. She smiled mechanically, her usual charisma masking the storm brewing inside her. Tonight wasn't just another performance. It felt like a reckoning. Every note she sang carried the weight of everything she'd been suppressing for years. Her fingers trembled slightly as she adjusted the microphone stand. "This next song," she began, her voice wavering ever so subtly, "is dedicated to someone who shaped my life in ways I'm still trying to understand." The opening chords of "Forever Yours" filled the arena, a haunting melody that had always been her most personal track. As she sang, memories of her mother flooded her mind. Laughter shared over kitchen tables, whispered promises during sleepless nights, and the unbearable void left behind after her passing. By the second verse, her voice cracked. Tears welled up, spilling down her cheeks unchecked. The crowd grew quieter, sensing something profound unfolding before them. Midway through the bridge, Karoline stopped singing altogether. Her hands gripped the mic tightly as if it were the only thing keeping her upright. I don't know how to be myself anymore," she admitted, her voice raw and trembling. I've spent so long pretending to be perfect that I forgot who I really am." The confession hung heavy in the air, unfiltered and achingly human. For several heart-stopping seconds, the arena was utterly silent. No applause, no screams, just collective breaths held by an audience unsure how to react. Some fans clapped hesitantly, others whispered among themselves, their expressions a mix of awe and discomfort. One woman near the front shouted, "We love you, Karoline," but even her voice sounded uncertain, tinged with both admiration and pity. Within hours, clips of the moment went viral. Hashtags like Karoline Breakdown and Authenticity v Stunt dominated Twitter. "She's brave for showing us her truth," one fan tweeted. "She's manipulating us again," countered another skeptic. The internet became a battleground of opinions, each side dissecting every word, every tear. Backstage, Evelyn stormed into Karoline's dressing room, her face flushed with fury. "What were you thinking?" she hissed. "You've ruined the tour. Do you have any idea what this will do to your brand?" Before Karoline could respond, Liam entered, placing a calming hand on her shoulder. "Evelyn, give her space," he said firmly. Turning to Karoline, he added softly, "You did what you needed to do. Vulnerability isn't weakness, it's strength." Later, secluded in her dressing room, Karoline replayed the night's events in her mind. She saw flashes of her childhood, her father's disapproving gaze, her mother's gentle smile. "How did I let it all slip away?" she whispered to herself. She thought about the endless interviews where she plastered on a fake smile, the awards shows where she stifled her anxiety, the friendships she neglected because they didn't fit her image. "All these years," she murmured, "I've buried myself under layers of expectations." Karoline realized she'd lived in constant fear, not just of failure, but of being exposed as imperfect. She'd sacrificed joy, connection, and peace of mind for fleeting validation. "What have I become?" she asked aloud, staring at her reflection in the mirror. As dawn approached, Karoline sat cross-legged on the floor, clutching her mother's necklace. She faced a choice: continue playing the role society demanded, or embrace her vulnerabilities and reclaim her identity. "I can't keep running from myself," she resolved quietly. Online reactions poured in. Some hailed her breakdown as courageous, while others dismissed it as calculated manipulation. "Is she genuine or just desperate for attention?" read one scathing comment. "She's reminding us we're all human," countered a supportive reply. Karoline scrolled through the comments until her vision blurred. Each critique felt like a dagger, each compliment hollow. She understood now. The world would judge her relentlessly, no matter what she chose. Yet amidst the chaos, a spark ignited within her. This breakdown, painful as it was, might be the catalyst for change. For the first time, she considered stepping away from the noise. Not to disappear, but to rediscover who she truly was. And perhaps, when she returned, she'd do so not as a manufactured icon, but as Karoline Leavitt, the woman beneath the glamour. The days following Karoline's breakdown were a whirlwind of headlines and hashtags. Supporters hailed her emotional display as courageous, while critics accused her of exploiting tragedy for attention. Talk shows dissected every detail, from the tears streaming down her face to the necklace she clutched like a lifeline. "She's either the most authentic artist alive or the savviest manipulator," one pundit declared on live television. Karoline scrolled through the coverage late at night, her heart heavy with conflicting emotions. She wanted to believe the praise was genuine, but deep down, she feared the backlash might be closer to the truth. Online, the debate raged endlessly. Fans flooded comment sections with messages of support. "She's human, just like us," but detractors weren't far behind. "This is all for publicity. Wake up, people." Every notification felt like a punch to the gut. Karoline muted her accounts, but the echoes of judgment lingered in her mind. Evelyn stormed into Karoline's hotel suite 2 days later, her expression cold and unyielding. "You've made your choice," Evelyn spat, tossing a stack of papers onto the coffee table. "I can't manage someone who refuses to play by the rules." Karoline stared at the termination letter, her chest tightening. For years, Evelyn had been both mentor and taskmaster, a constant presence dictating every move. Now she was gone, leaving behind an unsettling void. "I didn't mean to ruin things," Karoline said softly, though Evelyn Karoline stood backstage, her hands trembling slightly as she clutched the edges of her blazer. Tonight marked the release of 26, An album born from pain but crafted with hope. It was more than music. It was her truth laid bare for the world to hear. "You ready?" Liam asked, his voice steady and reassuring. She exhaled slowly, nodding. "As ready as I'll ever be." The curtain rose, and Karoline stepped into the spotlight once again. But this time, it felt different. During the performance, she sang the track dedicated to her mother, a hauntingly beautiful ballad titled "Forever Yours." As the final notes lingered in the air, the audience erupted into applause, many wiping tears from their cheeks. One fan held up a sign that read, "Thank you for sharing your heart." Karoline smiled softly, her own eyes glistening. For the first time, she felt seen, not as a celebrity, but as a person. Reviews poured in overnight, praising 26 as a masterpiece of vulnerability. Karoline Leavitt has stripped away the glitz to reveal something far more valuable, authenticity, wrote one critic. Another added, "In a world obsessed with perfection, 26 reminds us that imperfection is where true art resides." For once, the accolades didn't inflate her ego. They grounded her. Though Evelyn remained distant, Karoline found solace in assembling a new team, people who prioritized her well-being over profit margins. "I don't need someone telling me what to do anymore," she told Liam during a quiet moment. "I trust myself now." He grinned. "About time." Weeks later, Karoline visited her father's house, a place she hadn't set foot in since her mother's funeral. The air between them was thick with unspoken words, but she broke the ice. "I've missed you," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. Her father looked at her, his eyes misty. "I've missed you too, sweetheart." Over coffee, they talked about everything they'd avoided for years, their shared guilt over not being able to save her mother, the silence that had driven them apart. "It wasn't your fault," her father said firmly, "and it wasn't mine either." Karoline nodded, feeling a weight lift off her shoulders. Social media buzzed with messages from fans sharing how 26 had touched their lives. "This album made me realize I'm not alone," one post read. Another fan wrote, "Your courage gave me the strength to seek therapy. Thank you." Karoline scrolled through the comments, overwhelmed by gratitude. Even the harshest critics softened their stance, applauding her transformation. "Karoline Leavitt isn't just surviving, she's thriving," declared a popular entertainment blog. For the first time, she saw herself reflected positively in the media, not as a spectacle, but as a symbol of resilience. On a morning talk show, Karoline spoke candidly about mental health, urging viewers to prioritize self-care. "We're all human," she said, her voice firm yet gentle. "And there's no shame in asking for help." The host nodded, visibly moved. "You're changing lives, Karoline." Inspired by the response, Karoline partnered with organizations promoting mental health awareness. She attended fundraisers, gave speeches, and used her platform to amplify voices often overlooked. "This isn't just my story," she explained during a panel discussion. "It's everyone's story." As her advocacy work gained traction, Karoline became a beacon of hope for countless individuals navigating similar struggles. Letters poured in from fans around the globe, each expressing gratitude for her openness. "She saved me," one letter read simply. With her new team and renewed perspective, Karoline learned to balance fame with self-care. Therapy sessions replaced late-night studio marathons, and weekends were reserved for quiet reflection. "I'm still ambitious," she told Liam during a hike, "but I won't sacrifice my soul for success anymore." The creation and reception of 26 served as both personal redemption and proof of art's transformative power. Each lyric, each melody had helped her heal, and now it was doing the same for others. By embracing vulnerability, Karoline redefined what it meant to succeed, not through perfection, but through connection, authenticity, and purpose. "I used to think success was about numbers," she mused during a reflective moment. "Now I know it's about impact." And as she stood on stage one last time that year, wearing her mother's necklace proudly, she realized something profound. She wasn't just surviving the spotlight, she was shining within it. Karoline sat across from a renowned talk show host, her posture relaxed yet poised. The studio lights glimmered off her mother's necklace, a piece she now wore with quiet pride. "This journey has taught me so much," she began, her voice steady but tinged with emotion. "Fame isn't just about glamour or success, it's about pressure too, and learning how to stay true to yourself despite that. The audience leaned forward, captivated by her candor. "When I broke down on stage, I thought it was the end of me," she admitted, her gaze softening. But it wasn't. It was the beginning. Vulnerability isn't weakness, it's strength. It's what connects us all. Her words resonated deeply, earning murmurs of agreement from the crowd. She continued, "That moment forced me to confront everything I'd been running from, my fears, my grief, my insecurities. And you know what? It saved me. Embracing fragility is often the first step toward resilience." The host nodded thoughtfully. "Do you think vulnerability could be the key to healing for others?" "I do," Karoline replied without hesitation, "because none of us are alone in our struggles." Backstage after the interview, fans lined up to meet her. One young woman handed her a note that read, "Your story gave me courage to face my own pain." Tears welled in Karoline's eyes as she hugged the stranger tightly. "It's not about being perfect," she whispered. "It's about being real." That evening, Karoline took the stage once more. This time, there was no hesitation, no fear. She stood tall, her mother's necklace catching the light like a beacon of hope. "For anyone out there who feels lost," she said into the mic, "remember this: you're stronger than you think." As she sang, her voice soared with newfound confidence. There were no tears tonight, only joy, gratitude, and an unshakable connection with her audience. They cheered, not because she was flawless, but because she was human. Karoline's willingness to bare her soul left an indelible mark on those who followed her journey. Fans spoke of her authenticity as if it were a lifeline, a reminder that empathy transcends fame. "She showed us it's okay to be vulnerable," one fan wrote online. Through her trials, Karoline discovered something universal. Even amidst chaos, clarity can emerge. Fame may have placed her under relentless scrutiny, but it also allowed her to shine a light on truths everyone shares. And as she walked off stage that night, applause echoing behind her, she knew she'd finally found her purpose. Not in perfection, but in connection.